Okay, so good morning. I'm Sherita Herring Oglesby with the Philanthropy Alliance Foundation, and I'm so excited that this is the launch of the Youth Veterinarian Initiative with my very, very dear friend and colleague, Dr. Monique Wells. I'm actually here in Arkansas. Monique is coming to you out of Paris, France. And there's, I think, a 9-hour difference. So I'm excited about not only this program, but connecting people all over the world, different time zones, different ethnicities, different interests in how and why they would like to be a part of the Youth Veterinarian Initiative, which we call YVI. So that being said, we have such a short time, and I'm sure that Monique has a lot to share with you. So I want to bring on our very, very special Monique Y. Wells, who is a vet pathologist and a toxicologist. So Monique, from here, I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Maybe we can get a few of the people introduced. I'm going to stop share. And let's find out who we have on, Monique, if you don't mind, before we start.
Go right ahead.
Say hello, though. So I'm sorry, Monique, say hello so that everyone knows who you are.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I am Dr. Monique Y. Wells. I am a veterinary pathologist and toxicologist, as Sherita has said. I have been in Paris, France, since 1992, practicing my profession. And one of the things that I want to make sure that everyone understands is that veterinary medicine and veterinary pathology in particular can allow you to travel the world. If travel is something that you're interested in, you can work and travel and you can have a fantastic time just getting to know people and getting to know places and at the same time being paid for it. So I think that that's one of the very interesting things that I won't go into so much today in terms of the presentation, but we'll talk about in 2 weeks when we come back to you with part 2 of this talk. Um, and let me go ahead and put this on. Hopefully this will work.
And
Slideshow. There we
Monique,
go.
while you're doing that, while you're doing that, instead of finding out who we have on the call right now, because others may come on a little late, we can do that after your presentation,
Okay.
and that way others may be on. Before you start, also, for the boys and girls are on, uh, Monique actually lived in the United States. So this is to let you know that you can take your likes, your passions anywhere in the world. Because like she said, she's been in Paris only 20 some odd years, but she's from Texas. So no matter where you are, if you want to operate anywhere else in the world, the opportunities are endless for you. And Monique is in my favorite city of all time. I've always loved Paris. So that being said, Monique, you got the floor.
All right. Well, ask everybody to mute themselves during the conversation, during the presentation, and then I'll take
I'll,
questions and then you can unmute um, and ask your question. All right, so we'll get started and I'm going to talk pretty quickly because we do have a limited time. I want to introduce the topic of veterinary medicine and STEAM. And for those of you who don't know, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. You may have heard of STEM and the STEM professions. Well, the Wells International Foundation, which is my nonprofit organization, which is domiciled in Houston, Texas, we like to put the A in STEM and we talk about STEAM. I'm not going to talk about STEAM so much today, but I just want to prep you for that because in part 2 of this presentation, which will take place in 2 weeks, we're definitely going to talk about that. And I have as the sort of representative for this talk, I have the Disney character Doc Mcstuffins that you see to the left of your screen. And Doc Mcstuffins is a little girl, a little Black girl whose mom is a pediatrician and who has this whole entourage of toys and pets, and she envisions herself going into a medical field and she takes it upon herself to treat her pets and her dogs And she can be a source of inspiration for young people today, but I did not have anybody or anything like Doc Mcstuffins when I was a child. So I actually wanted to become a veterinarian because I read a book called Dr. Dolittle. And you might have heard of a movie or seen a movie called Dr. Dolittle where Eddie Murphy was the star. Well, that was years and years and years and years after I was a kid. And that movie you may not even know, because even though it was years after I was a kid, it's probably years before you were a kid. So anyway, I just want this presentation to be an inspiration to you more than anything, to let you know what you are able to do as a veterinarian. So without further ado, let's get going. My story again, born and raised in Houston, Texas. You see me in the picture at the right, sitting in front of the microscope that sits on my desk when I am working. I was born and raised in Houston. I went to veterinary school in Philadelphia. I went to the University of Pennsylvania. I did my graduate work at the Ohio State University. And then I began working as a veterinary pathologist. I specialized in pathology first, and I took on the specialty of toxicology after I moved to France. I moved to Paris, France in 1992. And like I said before, I have traveled the world because of my work. Okay. So, what is this veterinary medicine that we're talking about? You probably have a good idea. But I'm going to just give you some very broad strokes for those of you who may not have the best understanding. And as I said, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. I want you to come back to this space in 2 weeks' time when we'll talk about STEAM and how the arts are important for you if you are going to be studying science and math. All right, veterinary medicine deals with the prevention, the diagnosis, and the treatment of diseases in animals of all types, of all kinds. So you might be thinking, okay, when I think about a veterinarian, I may think about the dog or the cat vet, right? And that's perfectly fine. Veterinarians do treat family pets. Veterinarians also treat farm livestock, cows, pigs, um, sheep and goats, and they treat horses as well. Well, the horses aren't livestock per se, but large animals, we call them. Veterinarians will treat zoo animals. So if you have a zoo in your area, know that veterinarians are involved there. Wildlife, when you go out into the woods, okay, and you see the birds and you see the little animals scampering around, veterinarians treat those kinds of animals as well. Veterinarians,
Monique,
yes.
I I hope it doesn't interrupt you too much, but I just can't resist. When you mentioned the zoo, as a
Uh-huh.
young girl, did you worked at the zoo, right?
Yes, I did. When I was young and
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to become a veterinarian. One of the things we'll talk about over the course of this coming year is what you need to do to prepare yourself if you want to go to vet school. And so one of the things you can do from a very young age is just to express interest in animals and volunteer or even work at places where animals, where there are animals. So you can
Mm-hmm.
volunteer at your local veterinary clinic. I volunteered, I did that, but I also volunteered at the Houston Zoo and I worked in the children's zoo. So that's for another time. But yes, I did do that. Okay, so we talked about wildlife, and Sherita will talk about wildlife when she talks about her property, Oglesby Acres. Um, and so then I was going to talk about laboratory animals. So in my profession, in my specialty, I work with laboratory animals, rats, mice, rabbits. Rabbits can also be wildlife, but a lot of rabbits are used for specific types of studies when we're talking about industry, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Birds, birds can be wildlife. Birds will be in zoos. Birds are just all over, right? Birds can be pets. So there are avian specialists in veterinary medicine. And we have aquatic animals. We can't forget that the animals in the sea, the animals in the river, the animals in the lakes, we're talking fish, we're talking um, turtles, dolphins, we've got fish all the way through to mammals living in water, and veterinarians treat those animals as well. Another thing that we need to understand about veterinarians and veterinary medicine is that we deal with the prevention of the transmission of animal diseases to people. And the best example I think that we'll all be able to relate to just very easily is the disease called rabies that we find in animals. And we can find rabies in um, animals like dogs and cats, but we can also find rabies in wildlife. And if you're bitten by a dog or a cat or a raccoon or something to that effect, um, and that animal has not been vaccinated against rabies, and certainly the wildlife will not have been, then you will need to get shots, because if the rabies status of that animal is not known, they don't want you to get it, right? And so we veterinarians work to prevent that kind of transmission of diseases from animals to people. So all kinds of things, all kinds of different um, places um, where veterinarians can work. You can work in a small animal practice. That's the dog and cat clinic, which will also probably treat birds, and can also, if you have pets that are rats and mice and things like that, or your guinea pigs, you can take them to your small animal vet, right? Large animal practitioners are working on farms and other like large spaces similar to that. We have specialty practices. So whether you're a large or a small animal veterinarian, you can specialize in a subset of the entire field of veterinary medicine. So say, for example, and all of these fields are the same types of fields that human medicine has. So let's just say, for example, that you break your arm and you are taken to the doctor. Maybe you're taken to emergency, right? And what the first thing they're going to do is do an x-ray. We call them radiographs. And somebody's going to look at that x-ray or radiograph, and they're going to say, oh my God, your arm is broken in two places, and I know which bones they are, and I see how many pieces. So the same kind of specialty exists for veterinary medicine. We have veterinary ophthalmologists that look at eyes. We have veterinary surgeons that do special types of surgery. So there are all kinds of specialties in veterinary medicine. If you're not really interested in so much in, dealing with the live animals, but you are interested in what um, the types of work, the research that goes into making animal populations and human populations healthy, then you can go into research as a veterinarian, and you can also teach as a veterinarian. And then industry is the field that I'm in, where I work for big companies and sometimes not so big companies. Companies like pharmaceutical companies or agricultural chemical companies, companies that produce medical devices, all of these kinds of things, we call that industry, and veterinarians are very much a part of that as well. So just to show you some people of color who are active in these practices. The whole reason that the Youth Veterinarian Initiative exists, the whole reason that Sherita and I are so passionate about this is because so many people of color, African Americans, Hispanics, Asian people, indigenous people, do not see veterinarians in their daily existence. They don't know that people like them exist. And so they think, oh God, I love animals, but I don't even know what I could do with animals when I grow up. So I'm just going to pursue something else. Um, and so we're here to tell you that you can be a part of this fantastic profession. So this man here, his name is Dr. Will Draper. He is the medical director of a big small animal practice called the Village Vets in Decatur, Georgia. And you can see him with his stethoscope with this dog here. We have large animal practice, like I talked about. And the woman that you see here, the woman in the sort of maroon colored shirt, she is a vet school student at Tuskegee University, and that school is in Tuskegee, Alabama. And you can see her with her stethoscope around her neck, and she's getting ready to take a blood sample from this horse. I don't know if you can see it very well, but see if I can show you. Right here, she has a syringe in her hand and a needle, and she's getting ready to stick it into the horse's neck, into the vein, the big vein that's there, and she's going to pull some blood. Um, the specialty practice, I talked about radiology. You can see an X-ray, a radiograph of a dog on the right side of your screen. And this woman right here, Dr. Nancy Love, is a veterinary radiologist. Okay. And that's what she does. 100% of her time is look at radiographs from animals. She works for a company called Antech Imaging Services, which is located in Fountain Valley, California. And the interesting thing about this is, you know that we've been doing a lot of telemedicine recently because of COVID-19. Well, Antech does telemedicine. So the veterinarians will take these radiographs and they will send the images to Antech just like online. And then the diagnosis is made and the consult is done online as opposed to in person. Here we talked about doing research and teaching. So in this picture on the right, you can see a very young me sitting in a room with an electron microscope with my professor, Dr. Paul Stromberg, and we are at the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. And the electron microscope is so much more powerful than the light microscope that you saw at my desk in the photograph that I showed you at the beginning of this presentation. But it serves the same purpose. It just digs deep, 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 deep into the very, 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 very small, sub-microscopic, if you will, parts of cells. And so it can be used as a research tool. And certainly at universities, veterinarians are teaching, okay? And I talked about industry, and I talked about the pharmaceutical industry, and I talked about agricultural chemicals. Well, we also have to think about animal health, and we have to think about the food that animals eat to make them and keep them healthy. And we have to talk about the foods that we would want our animals to eat if they have a specific type of illness and we want them to get better. So there are companies that create diets, especially for animals. And Hills is one of them. In this picture on the right, you can see just a whole bunch of different kinds of Hills pet nutrition products that are for dogs and cats. And there's some of them are for healthy animals and some of them are for animals that have specific diseases, okay? And this young woman here, Dr. Tanya Otero, is a nutrition specialist and she works for Hills. And while Hills has its headquarters in Topeka, Kansas, Dr. Otero works in Florida, okay? And she is a consulting veterinarian for Hills, and she goes around to practices and consults with veterinarians about the foods that the Hills products that they can carry in their practices to help their patients. And this picture, I don't know if you can see, this picture was taken from a webinar that Hills and the Philanthropy Alliance Foundation and with my organization, the Wells International Foundation, we did in collaboration with Possibilities, which is another nonprofit. And the little girl that you see at the bottom of there, her name is Ava Dorsey, and she actually has a pet treats business. So she's only 14 years old. And she actually makes organic pet treats. And so we organized this interview where Dr. Otero interviewed Ava about the things that she puts into her pet treats. And Ava interviewed Dr. Otero about what it takes to become a veterinarian and how long it takes to graduate from vet school and what you have to do to get to vet school and all of that. So all of this is going to be made available to you through the Youth Veterinarian Initiative. All these kinds of different interactions with different veterinarians and veterinarians of color and all kinds of different specialties. And we just want you to know that any one of these veterinarians that I've talked about could be you, okay? So with that, let's open the floor for questions.
Well, Monique, I also want to mention that Brian is on, and he featured the young pet treat creator in his book
Yes.
for young entrepreneurs. And so didn't want that to slide by because
That's
Brian,
right.
and so you guys, yeah, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities to meet individuals that can highlight who you are and what you do. Brian, so maybe we can give Brian a moment to talk about that. And then also, Monique, back to you. How old were you? Because this is a question I was sitting here chomping at the bit. How old were you when you realized that you could volunteer at the zoo?
Oh, so I was doing that when I will say I was probably 14 or so. I learned early on because I wanted to become a veterinarian when I was really, really small. When I said that I read Dr. Dolittle, I read Dr. Dolittle when I was like 3 years old. Okay. So it was something that I had always wanted to do, always. And so then I started to investigate, well, what do I need to do to become a veterinarian? One of the things you need to do is you need to show that you have actively worked with animals in whatever way that is. And I decided that I wanted to experiment with the different kinds of animals that I might work with. So when I learned that there was a petting zoo, a children's zoo at the Houston Zoological Garden, which is what it's called, um, then I called up and I said I would like to volunteer, and they took me on. Really, one of the things that I want to stress today and throughout is that when you have an idea, ask. You would be surprised how many things you can get or do if you just ask. You're muted.
Um,
Yes,
so
I'm sorry. I'm saying, are there questions? Oh, good, 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 good.
yeah, what are the similarities and differences of being a specialty veterinarian and a general veterinarian?
Well, it depends on what kind of specialty you choose. So for the radiologist or for the veterinary surgeon or for the veterinary ophthalmologist, you're dealing with the live patient. And that patient can be a dog, or the patient can be a horse, or the patient can be a zoo animal or whatever, right? So those specialties are very similar to what the general veterinary practitioner is doing, because you're dealing with the live animal, you're looking at the vital signs. When I say vital signs, I mean the heart rate and the breath rate, the respiratory rate, and those kind, the temperature, and those kinds of things. When you go into research, then you get away from that kind of activity, and it's more about um, you might be, so as a pathologist, for example, you might decide that you want to investigate a particular disease, and you might want to investigate a particular aspect of that disease. And so you might never, even though it might be a horse disease, right? You may never actually go and see the horse or the horses. You may just get the tissues and do what you need to do with them in a laboratory. So it just depends on what you decide that you want to do. And I really encourage you to investigate all of these types of things, because sometimes you will think you want to do one thing, and then when you finally get there, quote unquote, then you'll discover that that's not really what you want to do. I'm a very personal example of that. I wanted all my life, I thought, to be a small animal vet. And when I got to veterinary school, I realized that I didn't want to do that. And I was devastated because I had spent my entire life getting there, literally. But then I said, okay, but you've gotten here, so you're not going to quit. You're just going to explore. And I had my core pathology course the first semester of my second year, and I fell in love with veterinary medicine all over again, but from a very different perspective. Okay.
Good, good. Are
Thank
there,
you,
are
Nika.
there, oh, thank you. You guys probably hear my roosters in the background, but excuse that. I'll talk to you about them in just a moment. Are there any other questions for Monique? Well, while you're thinking about it, oh, go ahead, Brandy.
Brandy and her daughter, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
How long does it usually take to finish veterinarian school or finish school to be a vet in all?
Well, okay. So if you're going to go straight through, Then you will go to a college or a university, and you will generally spend 4 years there. And at the end of that time, if you have the grades and you have shown your interest in everything, and you build up a really good, application, then you can apply to veterinary school, and it generally takes 4 years for you to finish veterinary school. So you're looking at undergraduate 4 years and veterinary school 4 years. And then if you're going to specialize, then you'll do some additional work after vet school. If you want to be a clinical person, you can do an internship, and that's generally an additional year after vet school. If you want to specialize in terms of you want to be a radiologist or you want to be a pathologist, then you will do probably another 3 years after that.
Okay.
So then, Monique, it's almost like, thank you so much, Brandy. It's almost the same kind of requirements as if you're going to be a regular doctor for humans, then, right?
That is exactly right. Except
Oh, okay.
that veterinary schools there are many fewer veterinary schools than there are medical schools. So the competition is much more intense to get into vet
Ah,
school. So that's why you
ah,
really have to really be deliberate about it, and you have to study, and you have to make good grades, and you have to show that you are interested outside of school. You have to do things outside of school to show your interest in the field. Okay, that's
okay,
very,
good.
very,
Oh,
very important.
and that's another reason why we've started YVI, because you're getting a jump start so that you can start doing like what Monique did and maybe volunteer at the zoo, start getting more involved maybe with animal rescues and things like that. Because by doing that, you're already getting ahead of a lot of students that may not decide to even think about veterinarianism until they're a senior in high school. Now, we will have various youth between the ages of 9 and 17 that are involved with YVI, and we will have some age appropriate kinds of activities and things that you will be involved in. So some of you that are older, because we do have the cutest little book that Monique is involved in, and if I can show that just really quick, Monique,
Mhm.
let me share my screen. Monique is involved. She's been featured in one of the in a coloring book that is about veterinarians, and here's her page.
Yes.
And so all of you for registering and being a part today will get a copy of this. And now some of you, maybe you're older and not interested in the drawing aspect, but it also is a teaching mechanism. You get to see where they're from, like they're showing where Monique is from. And Monique, talk a little bit about how you even got uh, into this coloring book.
Well, I am the founder and CEO of a nonprofit organization that is incorporated in Houston, and my nonprofit has this activity in STEAM education, which is why I'm going to talk about it next time. And this passion for and my nonprofit is also all about um, our mission is to cultivate global citizenship through education and culture. All right. And so global citizenship, and we're working with women, girls, and people of African descent primarily. And so veterinary medicine is over 90% composed of, or that's not the best way to say it, but the people who are veterinarians in the United States, over 90% of them are white. And so if we want people of color to become aware of veterinary medicine, then there has to be a concerted effort on the part of people who are interested. And so I and my nonprofit are interested. And there's a nonprofit called Possibilities. So you think of the term possibilities, but this nonprofit is called Possibilities, PAWSIBILITIES, and that is their sole function, is to expose people of color and other minorities. So race is not the only type of minority, right? People who of other minorities to this field, and encouraging them to enter the field and providing mentorship when we do get people coming to vet school and then graduating and starting their practices or going into their specialties. And Possibilities is one of the organizations that worked with Brian Weisfeld of the Startup Squad, and definitely want Brian to speak up a little bit. If he's still on the call, to do this event with Ava Dorsey about the pet treats. And so any way that we can encourage young people to explore this field and explore the just almost infinite number of things that you can do as a veterinarian and find your niche there, or your niche. The niche is the American pronunciation and niche is the French pronunciation. Then that's what we're here for.
Yes, yes. And now the one that is showing right now, I just wanted to point this out. Let's see, where'd he go? Okay. Here he says, you don't lose cool points for compassion. And see, he used to be into passion was really cats. And it appears that maybe as a young kid, you know, it probably wasn't cool, but he realized that he wanted to go on and start doing what he really loved. And that's another thing, Monique, that I like about this book, is it encourages youth to go on and do what they love to do, no matter what someone else might think. So when I was looking through this, I thought, man, though it's a coloring book, it kind of gives you some lessons and helps you think a little bit more about who you are. And so again, after Monique sent this over to me, I really thought it was a great teaching tool. So all of you will get a copy of this. It's a PDF, but they also have it as a link, right, Monique?
Yeah, well, we'll need to send it as a PDF.
Oh, okay. Okay. And Monique, who is the creator of this?
It's a book. It's an organization called Vets of All Colors. And their organization reaches out to youth to expose them to veterinary medicine.
Good, good, good. Well, Monique, if there's not a whole lot more to cover today, what I'd like to, as I was saying earlier, and you can hear them, my roosters are in the background. We have 40 chickens, 7 ducks, 2 cats, 6 dogs, and 3 guinea. And you guys will get to meet them as we go through our sessions. And remember, next week, Dr. Monique Wells will be taking you further into what she does and giving you ideas. That's going to be in part 2. If I can show you a really quick video.
Now, Sherita,
Yes.
are we meeting next week or in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
Okay, so that's what I thought.
Thank
So
you.
it's June 19th.
Yes, and I'm going to show you this quick video, and then we will see again who we have on the call and how broad our launch has gone already to see where you guys are. But I call them my barnyard crew, and that's Joy, one of our 6 dogs right there. But let me just show you what our mornings are like, what just happened, the reason why they're now outside.
You still have that pigeon that comes in at night?
No, I think our cats ran it off. I have to share that with them one day.
Okay.
I know. Need some water. There's some water here.
Are y'all feeling better? Huh? Well, look at the little one. He's up and running around this morning. He wasn't feeling too well last night after being caught in the pool. Well, you guys are hungry? Are you guys hungry? Well, let's eat. Good morning. Leave him alone. Look, So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of some of the things that you will start seeing, and you'll get to meet our barnyard crew and Joy and all of our dogs. And one of the things that we're excited about here on Oglesby Acres is all of our animals get along. To keep our dogs from chasing our chickens, because our dogs are honey dogs and they go in the woods and they hunt rabbits and all of that. And sometimes we bring the rats home as if to say, look, mom, but I wanted to train them to be around our chickens. So I would take them and have them sit in the chicken coop, tell them no. And now they're so trained, Monique, that I have to feed the dogs when the chickens are in the coop, because the chickens bully them and will eat out of their food and the dogs just end up moving over. So everything is trainable. And the wonderful thing about that you will see also, and we'll use a lot of what we do at YVI is other ways of teaching with what's been going on in the world right now. And a lot of times people are not getting along and protests and all those things. But animals, no matter what they are, dogs, cats, chickens, ducks, they all can live together, know that they're separate, but still live peacefully together. And so we're going to have fun. And Monique, I'm excited. What about you?
I am super, super, super excited. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. And so we'll be
yeah.
doing virtual stuff, and we'll be doing for the kids who are actually in Sherita's area, they will be coming, and everybody who's not in Arkansas will be able to see the live streaming of what's going on at Oglesby Acres and in places around Arkansas. But what we're also going to be doing is we're going to be inviting veterinarians who are passionate about this as we are to take us into their practices or take us around wherever they are working. And so that you can see all different kinds of examples of what veterinarians do. And so that's the goal of the Youth Veterinarian Initiative. And voila.
Yes. And also, Monique, and I think it would be really cool as you guys are in your areas, you might have a pet that you want to share when we're on. We'll have sharing times like that. You may even have a relationship with an animal facility or something in your area. And maybe we could even make arrangements for you to be there and you're guiding us on a tour in your area. We're open. This is going to be an exciting time. It's open-ended on the things that we have possible. And again, like Monique touched on, we are developing cabins here on our 30 acres. And this summer, the goal is to involve youth locally, and they will be able to come here possibly like for a weekend camp. But maybe next year, the goal will be for Monique to come in from Paris, and we have our international youth camp right here on Oglesby Acres. So just stay tuned for a lot of things that are coming up. So before we go, we just want to know who we have on the line. And so who would like to tell us who you are and where you are? You can unmute yourself. And
Yes.
All righty, Brandy.
My name is Bailey. My mom's Brandy.
Oh, okay.
And I am in Houston, Texas, or Manville, Texas.
And how old are you?
I'm 11.
Okay.
Well, thank you for being on. Thank you for being on.
Yes.
Thank you, Mom.
Yes. Hey. Okay.
Who's next? What about Leah? Or now, Leah, is that your name or your mom's name there?
Leah is my name.
Okay.
Okay, and tell us who you are, how old you are, and where you are.
I am Leah Williams. I am 11 years old and I live in Houston, Texas.
All right.
Thank you for being on.
Two Houstonians.
Thank you for being on.
All right.
Let's see, Thurman. I see, is it Thurman Ellison? Let's unmute and tell us who you are from that plug-in.
I'm Thurman Ellison. I'm 13 years old and I live in Switzerland.
All right.
Switzerland?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Thank you for being on all the way from Switzerland. And is that is it Dr. Corbin or Danielle Corbin?
Danielle.
Danielle Corbin. Hi, I'm Danielle
We
Corbin.
can't forget you.
Hello, everyone. I am a 6th grade science teacher. I teach science in the Bronx, and I'm also the author of a children's book about urban gardening.
Yes.
Ah,
Thank you for joining
you have to
us,
tell us,
Danielle.
we'll have to feature you one day. Let's see, is it Tamala?
That's my mom's name. I'm on.
Hi, what's your
Oh,
name?
okay. Tell us who you are.
I'm Mahalette. I'm her daughter, or youngest daughter. I'm in 5th grade and I'm 11 years old. And I live in LA.
All right, LA.
Nice to be on.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is it Guri? Gary?
Hi,
Panikar?
I'm Gauri Panikar I'm 13 years old and I live in India.
Oh my
India.
goodness. Thank you for joining
Outstanding.
us.
Thank you for being on.
Yes.
What time is it there in India?
Oh, it is 9 p.m.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Thanks for
And
joining
in
us.
Switzerland, thank
It's the
you.
same time
In
as here.
Switzerland, what time is it there?
5:41 p.m.
Ah, okay.
5:41
So all of you
p.m.
are on that
Okay.
same timeline. And Tori, can you come on and tell us who you are?
Hi, I'm Tori Ellis. I am an author and I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Nice for you to be on. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
And
Yes.
Felix Vega.
Hello, everybody. I'm Felix Vega. I am a classmate and good friend of Monique of Dr. Wells. So I'm a veterinarian and I hope I can share my story with you as well. I am in San Francisco,
Absolutely.
California, and I'm really happy to see all of these young faces. And I'm really excited for Monique to teach you about our profession and to hopefully encourage you to become veterinarians as well. We're looking forward to that.
Yes, absolutely.
Outstanding.
Felix, I'm so
Thank you
happy
for
that you
being
got to
on.
come too. Yes.
We can't wait to feature you.
That's right.
Let's see. Charles Vaughn.
Charles.
Maybe Charles is having trouble unmuting.
Okay.
While Charles is unmuting, is it Tajazwin?
I go by Teja.
Okay, hi.
Hi, my name's Teja. I'm 16 and I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Great.
Thank you for being on.
Great. All right.
Now,
And Brian,
I'm
you
trying
have
to
to
see.
say something.
Brian?
Hello there.
Hey there.
Hi. Oh, wait, I'm going to turn my video off. Maybe that helped my connection.
Okay. We can't hear you anymore.
Are you there?
There we go. Hello, you got me?
Now we do.
Great. All right,
Yes.
much better without the video. Sorry about that. I'm Brian Weisfeld. I'm in California, and I'm the founder and co-author of the Startup Squad book series, and a huge fan of Wells International and the Philanthropy Alliance, and so excited to hear all about this program. As we were saying before, we at the Startup Squad are all about profiling and inspiring and empowering girls to start their first businesses. And so Ava Dorsey is one of the girls that we worked with, and we have a number of girls that make pet treats or are otherwise involved in animal-related businesses. And so, so glad to be here this morning and hear this wonderful program.
Fantastic. Glad you could join us.
Thank you so much. Did we get Thurman on? Did I miss
we
Thurman?
Did. So we got Thurman.
Okay.
He's in Switzerland.
Tamala, did we do Tamala?
There's Layla. Oh, so here's Layla Vaughn, who's not able to, I guess, unmute. She's put into the chat that she is 10 years old from Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining us, Layla.
Good.
Her microphone is not working.
Houston is in the house.
Houston's in the house. In the house. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Monique. Thank you for being on, and I'm so happy that to be a part with you on this YVI journey, and for everyone else. Any other last remarks, Monique?
No, I'm good. If anybody has any last questions, we want to make sure you are welcome. You are welcome. Just want to make sure that you know that we will be doing this again in 2 weeks' time. So June 19th, which is actually a celebration day in Texas, Juneteenth Day. It's national,
Yes,
but it
Juneteenth.
originated in, yes, but it originated in Texas. And I'll be doing part 2 of this presentation, just about the same amount of time, and I will take more questions from you. All right. Next week, we're going to be talking about the importance of veterinary medicine. We're going to talk about how it can allow you to travel. And we're going to be talking about STEAM and the importance of the arts when it comes to studying science and math. And it's just going to propel you and make you even better prepared to apply when you're ready to go to vet school. Okay.
Dr. Wells,
Okay.
Yes.
did we hear, we may have just overlooked or didn't hear Nethra, I think was the name. We didn't hear what the
Nethra.
first one. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
because she did it before everybody was there.
Yes.
Yes, Nethra,
We
go
need
ahead.
Nethra.
Hi, my name is Nethra. I live in Lexington, Massachusetts, and I'm 13 years old.
All
Nice
right.
meeting you all.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, everyone, thank you. Thank you so much for being on. I'm really excited about this start. What about you, Monique?
I am more than excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This
So
is
I
going to be
applaud you guys for being
fantastic.
on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
we will
Monique.
see
Nice
you
to
on the
see you.
19th.
You too. You too. And I'll see y'all all next time.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Take care.
We'll
Bye.
see you on the 19th. We'll get the recording. Please share it, because the more that we can expose young people to the world of veterinarian, then the better.
Absolutely.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Bye. Y'all have a
There's
wonderful
a question
weekend.
about the coloring book that's in the chat.
Oh, we'll send it to you. We'll send you by email. So Sherita,
Yes.
you have everybody's email. Do you have everybody's email?
Yes, they'll get it along with the recording. Everyone
Okay.
that registered, we've got their emails.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
All right. Thank you,
Besos,
guys.
Felix.
Thanks, Monique.
Bye.
Talk to you on
All right.
Monday.
Yes. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.